Okay, so we're here for part 4. Thanks for hanging in with me. I am on a learning curve tonight because I have not had any problems with this, but it booted me off and I had to re-log in. So, of course, it is when I'm doing a live show. That's the way it goes. I want to show you the vitals report. This is the one that's similar to doing lab tests. So this is what it looks like. In the gray, this is the first scan, so pre-optimization, and then second is after. And you're going to see hopefully mostly green. Where there's red, it means that the body is out of balance in frequency. So this goes through blood lipids 2. So we can see that after optimization, all of these are imbalanced. So that's good. We want the body to be able to be flexible and to be able to go into balance. Blood other is looking at different things like albumin and ferritin and total iron binding capacity. These are all tests you can get lab tests. And I do know that they have looked at this energetically and then gone ahead and had people do lab tests and seen that there is a really good correlation between the two. So we can see here, I just want to show you at the ferritin level, he was in balance before the optimization and then went out of balance. Again, remember, we are energetic beings, so maybe that input of energy, that frequency was enough to kind of shift it out of balance. Perhaps he's on the cusp of being out of balance, and that little bit of input of energy created that imbalance. So that just means it's an unstable area that I would want to monitor and look at and possibly support with other means. Diet, supplements, and this type of thing. Incidentally, we could check and see whatever we're doing, did it have a difference? So what I would do is I would do that first scan, give him a supplement or a remedy of some sort to help with that ferritin level. Don't do the optimization and then see if there was a change, and then optimizing and see if it didn't stay in balance. So there's ways that you can kind of check and see if what you're doing is having an effect, which is really cool. One of the issues with this is you have to wait an hour. So if you do something and you want to see if it's making an effect, you do have to wait. They may make some changes to that, but right now that's just the way it is. So if I wanted to say like do a scan, do an adjustment, I would have to wait 1 hour until I checked my patient out. So not that convenient right now, but this is such a new system. It's cutting edge system. So I know they're going to continue to develop it. And I'm just excited to be on the ground floor of this. All right, CBC, again, these are all tests that you would do in a blood test. And it looks like his immature granulocytes, they were out of balance. With optimization, they stayed out of balance. So again, I'm going to pay particular attention when things do not shift energetically, and maybe do something more on a physical manifestation with diet or supplements to see if that will help. Fatty acids were all good, which is great because he is a vegan. So I'm always interested to make sure DHA is in balance, which means he's taking his supplement, which is great. Digestive function. So his gastric peristalsis stayed still out of balance. So I may even look at his nervous system related to those nerves going out to that. So being a doctor, I can use this in a little bit different frame of mind, which means that this is going to be a great tool for my patients to have in their home. And if they see consistent things that are out of balance, I can work with them in my office. So working with a healthcare practitioner might be a good idea. If you need my help, I can even help you remotely. This is what's great about this, is that this is all stuff I don't need to physically be there. Inflammation and oxidation. So this is something I'm always interested in for myself, because this is going to look at cortisol and cytokine, which is that inflammation, and homocysteine, which is an indicator of heart disease, given the fact that I have heart disease in my family. So I'm really super interested in that. Insulin resistance. This is something that's super important for so many people. Obesity and type 2 diabetes are rampant in this country, and making sure that your blood sugar level is stable is going to be something that will really help with your health. So there's all these different types of markers here. If you don't know what they are, you can just look them up. It's not like rocket science. Pancreas, again, with that blood sugar. And interesting, when you see something like anti-GAD, that has to do maybe with immune reactivity. And that came up a couple of times on my program as well. So this may be even something that's inherited. Pancreas and glycemic control, amino acids. So we can look and see, do we have those essential amino acids that are necessarily for our building blocks of so many things, including our neurotransmitters, which are our brain chemicals. Digestive aids and enzymes, he's doing pretty well except for platelets. So again, we want to look for trends. I wouldn't get excited about just one scan, but if you're doing this once or twice a day and you keep seeing repeating patterns, that to me is more indicative that there's a chronic issue that may need a little bit more help and support. Now, his macro minerals are a little bit off. They've got a little typo there too on their program, Marco minerals. So I might just make sure, maybe I might look and see about giving him a mineral supplement, because all our food, he eats really well, but our food is so devoid of minerals now that we need sometimes to supplement, and I do supplement myself. So I might need to help him out with that. And then we've got the macro minerals and the micro minerals. Same thing, vitamins and coenzymes, so all the B's, A, C, D, E, that type of thing. Looking at that, there's even some genetic markers here. They only have 2 right now, 2 variants of the MTHFR. Okay, so genetic testing is just a little cheek swab, but it's also costly, and insurance doesn't cover it because it's a screening test. So what if we could just use this to get an idea, not so much about whether we have this gene or not, it's more about, is the gene turned on or turned off? And this is more about epigenetics and what we're doing in our life. Basic physical, so we have things like emotional stability, and even things like glutathione and hydration and hypoxia, which means lack of oxygen, pH balance, vagal tone. This has to do with our nervous system, and the vagus system is tied into the parasympathetic system, which is our rest and digest aspect. So this gives great information. Bone and muscle condition. Now look, he's got 2 reds where it says disc protrusion. So I might go back and look at his disc levels and see if there's anything that shows up there. Both bone growth index looks good, bone mineral density. So for someone like me, I'm looking to make sure I'm not having too much breakdown of bone for a risk of osteoporosis. And this is how I can kind of screen for that and just make sure that that all looks good. And it breaks it down into the different areas. Brain nerve. So we've got all the nerves going on there. We've got cardiovascular and cerebrovascular. So he had a few things that were out of balance that went into balance. Collagen index, that's another one that I'm super interested in. As we get older, our collagen is what keeps the elasticity in our skin, so that hopefully we are trying to stave off the hands of time in that realm. Look, it happens to the best of us, but if we can do things to help slow down the process, then why not? So collagen is in so many of our systems, not just the skin. Whatever's going on out here is also going on inside. Endocrine glands, so our hormonal system is at imbalance. So he's got 2 red marks on the prostate. We want to just make sure that that's supported. Eye health, hormones, mood, sex, sleep, stress. So breaking everything down there. Immune system. I mean, look, I've been talking 10 minutes and I'm still not done with the report. And I'm just going really fast. Immune system. So adenoids and tonsils have 2 red marks up there. He also had a high histamine response when I was going through. So it'll be interesting to see if he's got any allergy stuff showing up, because I do have allergic tendencies. And then our immune system, guys, hello, right here. All the different breakdown products. Look at that. So immunoglobulin A, D, E, G, M, it's a complex system. It's not just a simple, oh, you have it, you don't. And we have immune aspects in our different organs. So Peyer's patches are in the gut. Kidney function. So he might need to, I don't know, he usually drinks enough water. That's a little bit off there with his creatinine. Liver and gallbladder. So remember, his liver was sort of high in a number. It did balance out much better. So I don't see anything specific on here. Oh my goodness. Look at, I'm getting the wheel of doom. Oh, good. It went all the way back up to the top for me. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Here are viruses. So again, this does not mean that you have a virus. It is not a diagnostic test. It just says that there's a frequency your brain is telling the scanner that there's energy surrounding around these viruses. It could be even an imprint of a virus that you've had in the past that energetically threw your body off its axis. It doesn't have to be, you don't need to have like an infection right here and now. And this is a really hard thing for people to understand, is that energetically this stuff can affect us. So just looking at that, and also genetically passing down that imprint of energy from one generation to the next, that also occurs. It's complicated, right? And then we've got parasites. These are really hard to medically diagnose, and parasites are really more rampant than people know about. You have to catch them at the right stage, and they don't always shed into the bowel movements. So there is a way you can try and test with doing stool samples at different times and whatnot. Sometimes you can catch it that way, but sometimes you can't. And some of these can have sort of insidious symptoms. And again, remember, you've got this energetic imprint where maybe you've been exposed to a parasite before. You might not have an active infection, but that energetic imbalance persists. I hope that makes sense to you. But nonetheless, I kind of look at this, and again, I look at the things that come up and have the 2 reds across. So I'm not going to get excited about it, but I'm going to kind of look at that and see what happens with the parasites. And they're really rampant in our society and our system, and we just don't really think about them. We've got molds, okay, including black mold is on here. And we have heavy metals. So these are the ones that get lodged into our tissues. Heavy metals usually don't circulate in the blood. They got to go somewhere. So they might go to your brain. They might go into a different cell, but they usually don't hang around in the blood. And it's interesting because this came up for me too, which is the barium. And again, I don't know, is that an imprint? I had a barium x-ray to look at damage to a kidney from a bicycle accident, but he's never had any barium that I know of, unless it's in our environment and things that I'm not aware of. So I really want to kind of look at that. And then other toxins, including electromagnetic radiation, and he has come up big red blobs on that. So this is a big one, and I'm trying to work with, I have to see, because I know my husband wired our home, hardwired it so that we don't have to use internet. But I just want to make sure he's not putting devices on or near his body, especially when he's sleeping. And so again, this is a conversation I can have. When I did mine both came up green. So I was really psyched about that. I kind of really working hard on that. Other things like excitotoxins and paint and smog and pollution and stress hormones and vaccines, those are all on there too. Fungus is on here. So different forms of candida and other fungi. And did we talk about bacterial? I think, oh, no, I didn't talk about bacterial things too. So tons of bacteria, including Lyme or the Babesia genus, as well as Bartonella, which is another type of infection that often occurs with Lyme. Here are the allergy sensitivities, and I know they're working on increasing. And like I said, I have a history of allergies, and it looks like there are some things that have come up for my son, which is interesting. He has never had beef in his life, but beef has come up on mine. I haven't had it for over 30 years. But again, what is that energetic imprint from genetics of both of me and his father to him, possibly to be more susceptible energetically? So thank goodness he doesn't eat beef, because maybe this might be an issue for him. This is kind of how I look at it. And then there's all the allergies that are in the environment, like trees and grasses and that type of thing. So, you can get the allergy tests where they actually stick you with the tines, but that is pretty dangerous, because if you do have an allergic reaction, it can cause anaphylactic shock. And it doesn't necessarily, mean you don't have sensitivities on top of that. So it's just one way, it's one mediated response in the immune system. Thyroid function. So again, this is a typical thyroid panel I would want to see. So we can sort of screen that way. We've got the skin index. So melanin, elasticity, collagen. And we have reproductive functions for a male. So it would be different for a female, but it goes on to talk about sperm counts and sperm pH and all that good stuff. So for your reproductive system, especially if you're wanting to have a baby. Lung function. You guys, do you get the idea? Like, this is so much stuff. Okay, I think I got through. I think I got through this. Crazy. And I didn't show, I think I'm going to do a separate video on the vital scan, just because, sorry, not the vital scan, but the voice scan, because it's a different report and I have broken this up so far. So why not do part 5? So I'm going to end this and I'm going to come back in a minute.